I know that the political climate in this country is very contentious, and I can understand why with the topics that they're dealing with on a state or even a national level, but not at the local level. At the local level, we are talking about our community, the houses that we live in, what gets built here, the character of our community, our schools, our children. I want to keep Aberdeen affordable. I want to make Aberdeen transparent. And I really want to instill our community-driven leadership. I believe at the local level that the partisan politics don't really hold any water. My name is Mark Bishop. I live in the Cliffwood Beach section of Aberdeen with my wife and 2 children, and I'm running for mayor. My involvement started when I got a letter in the mail where the township was trying to rezone my street and a couple of blocks surrounding it. And they were doing this to allow a developer to buy up our properties and put a large development on our quiet dead-end street. Not only was this concerning to me, but I quickly learned that this was concerning to all of my neighbors and the entire community. A lot of my neighbors ended up coming up to me and asking, what should we do about this? I saw that there was a lot of people that were panicking. We ended up bringing the entire community together. We had hundreds of people showing up at the town council meeting. We raised over $11,000. We hired one of the best attorneys in the state, and we made sure that we got the result that the community was asking for. It was definitely a big eye-opener when I first got involved because everybody in the community came together. Nobody asked what political party that anybody was a part of. We all just came together for a common goal for the betterment of the community. When I went back through that list to see, the voter registrations on that list was essentially 50-50. And I think that goes to show that the issues that face us at the local level are not ones that should be separated by politics. Everybody is struggling with rising costs across the board. And right now, the overcrowding of the schools and the rising tax bills that we're facing year over year, they're getting worse, not better. As far as transparency, through some of my involvement tackling some issues in town, we found it very hard to find information that really should be publicly available. We should be posting the bills that we're paying in our budget status reports that itemize where our dollars are going. The community-driven leadership that we're running on, I think, is probably one of the most important things. And what that means is that when we're talking about these contentious or controversial issues in town, the INS spot zoning issue that initially got me involved, the removal of commercial space that the residents are very upset about at Glassworks, where we're going to fulfill our Mount Laurel affordable housing obligations and what those projects are going to look like. It's my experience that a lot of these conversations are happening behind closed doors. They're happening in executive sessions where the public is not involved in the conversation. And we don't find out until after decisions are already made. That needs to be changed. When we have these issues, we need to be proactive, to encourage the community to come down, to hold public forums, to engage with the community, hear what their input is, so that even when there's projects that maybe the community doesn't want, but we are obligated to provide, that at least we can make sure that we shape those projects in a way that the community is happy with and that best suits the character of our neighborhoods. We want to make sure that our budgets are posted, our audit statements are posted, the budget status reports are posted. We want to see the township provide the live streaming of the meetings. I think that not only encourages more participation from the community, but it also makes it more accessible. Residents have been begging the town to offer live streaming. I took it upon myself to purchase the equipment, and I've been going down there for a year now. I haven't missed one, and I won't miss any. I will continue live streaming them personally until the township takes on the responsibility, like the residents are asking them. I would like to see Aberdeen be the gold standard for transparency. I would like to see other municipalities across the state pointing to Aberdeen as an example of what transparency should look like. We need to be very careful about giving these pilot programs out. There are times where they are beneficial to the town, and there are times that they are harmful to the town. If you look at projects like Hudson Ridge that provided much needed affordable senior housing, that didn't add any students to our schools, didn't put much strain on our infrastructure, our police, our DPW, that was a very good use of a pilot. The land was contaminated. We needed to incentivize somebody to come in and bear the cost of remediating that property so that in 30 years it will be on our tax rolls. And in the meantime, it's not putting any burden on our community. When we look over at Glassworks, the burden on our community from that project, because it's high density residential, is tremendous. We have the Forge at Glassworks alone is 170 market rate luxury apartments. That building just sold for $57 million. They should be paying about $1.3 million a year in property taxes, and they're not. They're paying $400,000, and $0 is going towards the school. Glassworks project as a whole, as per BOE reports earlier in this year, they're contributing 120 students to the schools, and it costs us about $17,500 per student to educate. That's an additional $2.1 million a year in education costs when we're getting $0 to help offset those costs. That needs to change. I think that we also need to look at reducing costs in other ways. In this past month, I went down to see them open the bids on some roadwork projects in town. We only had 2 bidders. One was $4.1 million and one was $4.3 million. So the contract got awarded at $4.1 million. That's not a competitive process. I can tell you from the business that I'm in that the banks won't approve loans on projects that don't get at least a minimum of 3 bidders. And we need to strive for that at a minimum in Aberdeen. You know, we really need to go out and do a better job soliciting bidders to come so that we can make the process more competitive. And that's one way that we could drive costs down. From the numbers that I've seen, we're paying a lot more than even our sister town of Mattawan for road work. And if we could reduce those numbers, we'll be able to get more roads done for the same price and get a lot more done a lot more quickly. And we won't see the road conditions that we see today. The relationship between our town council and the Board of Education. I'll tell you, I was very shocked to find out that there essentially is no communication there. There is no relationship. That needs to change. When we are talking about these large developments to add all of these students to our schools, the Board of Education needs to have a seat at the table. I was absolutely shocked to find out that they did not have one. I didn't imagine a world in which that would be the case. We need to open communication to be able to work with our Board of Education. The school budget is the largest portion of our tax bill. The best thing that the Township Council and the local government can do is work well with the Board of Education. Make sure that they're getting the funding that they need, the support that they need, and that there's collaboration where it can help to make sure that they can keep their budgets as tight as possible while giving the students the best education that they deserve. Because if we can help the school boards keep that portion of the tax bill in check, it helps all of the residents in Aberdeen. We have a lot of community boards, a lot of departments throughout the town that are feeling neglected, that we're really not leaning on. And these are people that are passionate about the boards in which they're serving. You know, they are coming and they are willing to work for free on a project that they are passionate about for the betterment of our community. And a lot of these boards are feeling like they are forgotten about, they're not getting the support that they need, and they're starting to get very discouraged. And we need to help encourage not only to keep those people engaged to help us, to help Aberdeen, but to also help them get new memberships and get a new generation that will come and take over these boards as they are no longer able to do it. Following the success of the INS zone and the more involved that I got, the more the people were calling for me to run in this town. And with the mayoral race coming up, there's a lot of people calling for me to run for mayor. And my initial response was no. The reason was our current mayor, Fred Tagliarini, I thought did a pretty good job overall. We didn't always see eye to eye, but he always answered the phone. He'd always hear you out. There was plenty of instances where if you said the right thing, you would change his mind. And I think that that was very important in somebody that's leading this town. I didn't make the decision to run until our current mayor decided that he was stepping down and made that announcement. And that following couple of meetings, I saw all different parts of our local government and community coming to the meetings and essentially asking, with Fred leaving, who can we talk to? Who can we turn to? Who will listen to us and really hear us out? And that's when I realized that I could be that person.